Thank you, Martin, for tuning in. Thank you, Jean Marie, for tuning in. Thank you, actually, for tuning in. Thank you, Roosevelt. Um, I just want to take a moment to thank all of you that are tuning in, and um, it's going to be a very good, a very important debate, a very important topic that I'm going to be talking about. And I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are tuned in this afternoon. It's about 12:19 and about 12:19 in ground zero. And thank you, Madeleine, for tuning in. Thank you, Roosevelt, for tuning in. And remember that I'm also broadcast live on Facebook and on my YouTube. And on my YouTube is called Transparency Media International. Thank you, Aman. On my YouTube is called Transparency Media International. I think that should be clear. And remember that when you are on my YouTube, hit the subscribe button, and that is very important. And I also make a comment so that I know that you were at the neighborhood. This is for Daniel speaking here from the great state of Texas, here in the United States. Thank you, Ebony from UAE. Thank you for tuning in. I am glad that you are here as well. And it is very, very important issues that I'm gonna be talking about. And I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are tuning in. It's gonna be a very fantastic topic and about the southern Cameroon, now Ambazonian, the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, and the survivor of the people, who is deceiving who, and how can we move forward. So there is a lot of there is a lot of things that we're going to talk about today. And first is the APNC conference that is holding in Philadelphia. Those are one of the other critical topics that we're going to be talking about. And another thing that we're going to be talking about is the demarcation pillar between the British Cameroon and the Francophone Cameroon. And another thing that we're going to talk about General Angel Robinson, the fifth ruthless military of La Republique that is currently stationed in the southern Cameroon territory. And and the possible return of the Fawn to the Bali throne, and the military invasion, potential invasion of the Bali and Widukum area. Then we're going to be talking about the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee, or the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee in La Republique and the main office. And then we will talk about the Guinness, uh, the Guinness, they call the Guinness Mount Cameroon, but I call the Guinness La Republique du Cameroon because they have no legal binding in the people of Southern Cameroon. And then we're going to talk about some more time. We talk about the interim government of Amazonia. So there is a lot of discussion that we're going to be talking about. I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are tuning in again. My name is Fudon Daniel. I will be speaking live here from the great state of Texas, here in the United States. And I want to thank all of you. Then, and if you have any questions, just put it down. I will review my questions at the end of this broadcast, and we will talk more. And we will continue. The debate will continue after this broadcast, and you share your opinions. and I will review and we all share together because the people of Southern Cameroon within the past 56 years has experienced a severe trauma from both international community and the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroon. So we need to move forward. And today I begin with my symbol, the police, the Southern Cameroon Police Badge. And they have a very important role to play in the quest for our freedom. We have the Southern Cameroon Police Secret Service. We have the Southern Cameroon Police Force. And they will be performing, they will be evaluating the performance of the people that will be meeting in Philadelphia. Are they coming there to disguise? Are they coming there for the freedom of the people of Southern Cameroon? Or they are coming there for their own self-egoistic interests? The people of Southern Cameroon, the citizens, the sons and daughters, has in distress. And are we going to deceive our people because we choose the wrong pathway or we choose our own self personal interest? And that is why the Southern Cameroon Police Force is in full gear to watch what happened in Philadelphia. I understand that many of La Republic agents are working behind the scene, but unfortunately, the freedom of our people shall never be disturbed or relinquished. And that is where we're going to continue. Here again, my name is Fulton Daniel. If you are in the great state of Texas here in the United States, I thank you for tuning in. If you are in Europe, if you are in Ground Zero, the battleground, and those in the neighboring country, La Republic or South Africa, elsewhere, I just want to take a moment, thank you, that this is the moment that we don't have to relinquish our quest for freedom. And here again, thank you. Hey, so many. Thank you, Patrick, for tuning in, and I want to thank you so much for joining us live in this broadcast. All right. Thank you, Don, Pedro, for joining in. Um, Thank you, Messi, for joining in. Uh, all right. Let's begin. I know many of you are wondering, many of you also share some concern about what is going on in APNC conference in Philadelphia. I also have concern as well. And we will be watching, we will be seeing what is the purpose, what is the goal, and what is the objective of the APNC conference. The importance about us coming together is important that we come together to evaluate what is our goal, what is achievable, and what is attainable. But in the case of this, do we have what they call the black legs within our midst? Of course, there is. There is the black legs in our midst. And how can we move by? There are some people what they call an opportunistic. And how can we do in the place of an opportunistic? But people fail to understand that there is an internal problem between our people. Our people, I'm myself, I am okay where I am. And I don't think I should be in part of this. But I feel the pain of the suffering of my people. I feel the pain because I went through the same process. I feel the pain because we share the same pain together. We share this pain because it's part of us and we went through hell. And God gave us the opportunity to be in this wonderful great nation, the United States. And many of you, not just United States and elsewhere in Europe, it is the Spirit of God that makes this opportunity that we happen to be in this wonderful nation and at this particular moment. But we understand that the reason why we are here is because there is something that is wrong in Southern Cameroon. And that people turn a blind eye over the problem that is ignited in Southern Cameroon. And our people have struggled, our people have suffered. But we don't acknowledge these problems and that we have to each stand by and let the world understand that we have a problem. But instead, we want to choose our own personal interest over the interest of a defined nation, the Ambazonian people. Is that what we are going to the APNC conference? Of course not. But there are people within us that they're going to use an opportunity to frustrate and for their own personal egoistic. And that is why I am bringing attention for the United States government that our people, fellow citizens of this wonderful nation, the United States, fellow citizens of this wonderful nation, the United States, fellow the government of these great nations, the Homeland Security, the United States Homeland Security, the U.S. Department of Defense, the U.S. State Department, the White House, and the entire wonderful government of these great nations. Our people in Southern Cameroon, the former British trusted territory, are in distress. Our people are living under distress. Our sisters, our mothers, and our relatives have been killed by the terrorist government of La Republic. Our people, our mother, our children are being invaded by the terrorist government of La Republic. But I want first of all start by showing first example why the certain individuals choose to terrorize our people because they are making profit on behalf of our people, why our people are suffering. And I'm going to show you a typical example. One may ask me, as someone actually asks, am I anti-development? No, I am not anti-development. I am pro-development because it's because of development, because of neglect of our motherland that we find ourselves in this condition that we are today. And so therefore, I want to begin by showing a clear example why a certain individual benefit on behalf of the citizens of Southern Cameroon and minimize the murdering of our brothers and sisters. I will stand by and ensure that peace and security reign in Southern Cameroon, and that the people of Southern Cameroon are determined and make their own interests. And that is why I am in this great nation, the United States, the most powerful nation on earth, on this planet. But I'm bringing attention for this wonderful nation to understand that our people is in distress and they're seeking for a solution. Let's look at a typical example. You all see this mansion, and they may have been shown on the Facebook and elsewhere. You all see that is the single individual within a period of 1 year. Our lives has been lost because the owner of this house is the one that is perpetrating, slaughtering our citizens, our brothers, and minimize the context in which we are here. Our mothers, our children, our relatives has been killed, has been burned, home destroyed by the military of La République du Cameroon, of the neighboring country, La République du Cameroon. And that is the profit generated because of our relatives are being killed, and that is the profit that they use to build this house. And they are in negotiation. They are currently in negotiation in the Balifon's palace. How to take care of the people of Widikum and the slaughtering of our people. How do we get here? We got here because the British government ignored the fundamental questions of liberty and freedom. We enjoy a relationship with the British administrator in the Enugu House of Assembly. They are aware of the people of Southern Cameroon, that the three option question that one was ignored. Had it been we, if they have faithfully and judiciously recognized our people, we wouldn't be at this mess when a certain individuals are benefiting on behalf of our people while the rest are in Nigeria suffering. We have an occupier in our home, in our land, in our territory. We have an occupier in our home, in our land, and in our territory. While we are, our brothers and sisters that own the land are living in Nigeria in distress. Some are living in the forest, and some don't even have basic food. Whereas we have an external nation, La République du Cameroon, occupy our land because the world turned a blind eye and failed in absolute terms to recognize the dignity of our people. And that is why I'm back to the same question. The APNC conference that is holding in Philadelphia. What is the mission of the APNC? If the mission is the goal and objective to move forward with our sovereignty, if the goal and objective is to build a more robust government of Southern Cameroon, if the purpose is to fund the Ambazonian Defense Force, if the purpose of the APNC is to stand stronger more than the current system, then that goal meets the criteria. But if there are people behind that are sitting there for the interest of La République, because they happen to be part of La République, like someone who happened to be in California, like someone who happened to be in California, that ignore because they have their relative that once time be a member of this regime, and now forgot to understand that the people of Southern Cameroon is in distress and that they do not in any circumstances tolerate those individuals. I urge the United States government that this United States government is not a government of a stupid government. It's not a government of ignorance. It's not a government that lacks the will of the people. They understand, and that if a certain individual want to take advantage to come to Philadelphia, and that the purpose is to invoke, to create animosity over the people that are seeking for the common ground and the freedom of Ambazonian, then that person in particular, especially that individual that is in California, that is colliding with La République, then you're going to meet a battle of Waterloo. This is the United States. We respect the United States. You came here because that particular individual that is in California The particular individual that's in California, you came here and studied in the United States. You came here because someone stood and fought for this nation to become what it is today. The United States did not just rise from the sky. United States fought hard against the British. And United States built a solid nation to be what it is today. Today you have one of the opportunistic to be in this wonderful nation called the United States. You are here. You turn a blind eye over the quality of the system that exists there because your parents was part of the system. And that you want to take advantages to use against the will of the people. Maybe you are on the hot ground. And that is why I am bringing attention of the Homeland Security. I am bringing attention of the United States government. I am bringing attention that the people of Southern Cameroon has got enough. They need a place where they call home. They need a place that they believe that they can have their people understand the value and the need of their people. But unfortunately, there are certain individuals in California that has choose to ignore the fundamental will of the people, to stand as a self-governing self, because certain individuals had the opportunity, because their parents utilize the system and provide them the basic foundation, and the rest of the people are now lack those foundations. But they have used the basic value of this great nation, and now they want to stand against the will of the people. But the will of the people can never, in any circumstances, override. And so I am giving those individuals in California that they know, we know them, who they are, and that this is the United States. It's not a corrupt nation. This is a nation that stood ground for its freedom, for its liberty. And the United States would not, in any circumstances, deviate from that will of the people. And that is why I am letting the United States government that there are certain individuals that is going to be invoking in Philadelphia. The people of Southern Cameroon, they want their freedom, their land, and their liberty to govern themselves. And that is why I am presenting this case to the United States government. That those individuals that are in California, that their parents benefit and rob the system and place them here in the United States. And they now stood up and want to stand against the enemy over the defined people of Southern Cameroon. But I am here to let the Homeland Security that our people have struggled enough. Our people have faced starvation. Our people have been slaughtered. The woman that delivered a child in the midst of the forest, the woman that delivered twins in the midst of the forest and bleed to death is a Southern Cameroon. The children that were shot alive happened in Southern Cameroon. And therefore, I urge the United States government, I urge the Homeland Security here in this wonderful nation that our people has long lived in this distress. United States government is not ignorant about what is going on in the people of Southern Cameroon. And that is why I am here to the United States. I am speaking on the citizens of this wonderful nation because they stood up as a one nation and fought for their freedom. But unfortunately, our people are in distress. And there are certain children that belongs to those terrorist individuals that happen to be part of this and that are using our opportunity to disrail the will of the people. And that is why I am speaking here to these wonderful nations and to the citizens of this great nation. As you head into the APNC conference in Philadelphia, you got to understand that if your intention is to defraud and create a pandemonium on the people of Southern Cameroon, I urge you not to step into Philadelphia. If your goal and your objective is to create a pandemonium, then I urge you not to step into Philadelphia. Because Philadelphia is a place that will determine the vision and the people of Southern Cameroon. The people have been going through this stress call, and they have been asking for help, just like the Christ was asking for help. And the moment has come. We know the people have been neglected. Our people has been neglected. And our people has chosen the right destination. And that destination is their freedom to resume whom they are and that they can survive. And that is why when you see this building, our people are living in a forest. They basically have no food to eat. They basically have no clothes to dress themselves. Basically, they have absolutely zero. And this individual is building a golden mansion. I am not against development because my goal is to have development to the high quality level. But I not when a certain individual ignore the fundamental principles of the will of the people and choose his own personal interest against the will of the people. And that is why the problem now become my personal problem. And that is why I am speaking up here in this wonderful nation, the great state of the United States. That our eyes are open and we know them and we will continue to persuade them wherever they are, and that the will of our people is to hunt them wherever they are, because freedom of the people is something that can never be relinquished or deviated. You all see, I am not against development. I am for development, because if there was development, then many people wouldn't be. But when people choose development at the expense of the people, because they want their own personal profit, and that within 1 year, a military is commanding this, whereas the people of Southern Cameroon are living in a forest and they have no basic food to eat. And the people want freedom. That is all they need. They want freedom. They want a government that is accountable to them. They want a government that is responsible. They want a government that they have their cry can be heard. They have a government that they can call to order. They have a government that they can elect it. They have a government that is uniformly under the will of the people. That is the government the people are seeking. They are not seeking someone that will dictate and tell them what they should do, instead of them determine what the government should do. They should be part of the government and not the government separate them because of a certain group of individuals that claim they own the government. That wasn't the philosophy of a government. And that is the person. That is the owner of that mansion. It's called Robinson. That is the owner of that mansion. It's called Robinson. And he is in Bali negotiating over the slaughtering of our people. You all know that over how many 40 children of male descent were murdered in Bali. I stand with the Bali people. I will stand with the Bali people that the freedom of the Southern Cameroon shall not be relinquished or determined by a certain individual. He doesn't have a mindset. Why he's building the mansion and he's ready to negotiate with the Bali? Because he regret and recall that at least 40 children were burned down, were shot alive, or they were killed by a natural gas that was spread. And when the information leaked out, they went and burned the corpse. It's still fresh in my memory. It's still fresh that I have my relatives in Bali, or my friends or family, or distance, whatever it is, in Bali, were killed, especially the young boys. It was still fresh to me. The same uniform officer that asked young girls to swim, for those in the medical profession, when you ask a young girl to swim in the mud, and you understand the bacteria that is going to be troublesome to them, and you, the same military, asking them, and there were children or students from the Bali, and they were asked by the same terrorist military to swim in the midst of the mud. And I can recall this. It's very fresh in my memory. If you have lost touch with that, but it hasn't lost in my memory, I still have that feeling, and I still remember them. I see them each time when I go to bed. Maybe you don't, but I am here to let this colonel, this General Robinson, that our people doesn't need land. He can choose to stay in La Republic. But this is the moment that the spirit of our people must rise against our enemy. Our people must rise against our enemy. This is still very fresh to me. Because you know one country, when an individual chooses a one lifetime president in one of our neighboring countries in Africa, he chose to stay in power rather than relinquish power. But the military were very honest. They stood on behalf of the people and tell Mr. President, it's time for you to go. Today, no one shot was killed. No one shot was fired. But he is resting somewhere. But the military stand on behalf of the people. But in a neighboring country like Republic, the military stood with a mentally deranged individual called Paul Biya. They ignore the will of the people. They ignore that they are to protect the people, but rather they ignore and choose one single individual that is mentally deranged, and that is Paul Biya of La République du Cameroon, of the neighboring country. That is why I have let the world know that our people is moving forward. So I stand with the people of Mali. As you see the homes, as you see these homes, those are homes that are burned down by the military of La République in Southern Cameroon territory. As you can see them, those are the homes. As you can watch, those are homes that are burned down by the neighboring country, La République military in Southern Cameroon. While he is building his own home, the military is burning those who don't even have something. And that is what the military is doing. But I am here to let the world know that our people have got enough. Just imagine a retirement home. Just imagine someone spent 30 years, has been working 30 years, and he's able to, with his monthly income, he was able to build a home, a place what they call a home. And this is what he found. This is what is called a family home. And then they've been living there for some time. The grandmother, the children, that is where they meet to appreciate what their dad did. But unfortunately, this was burned down. This was burned down by La République du Cameroon military. I'm bringing this to the world to see. I'm bringing this to the world community to see. Because this is an individual that has built this home, and over the length of time, 30 years, and they have initiated this, and they believe it's in their family home, and that is where they're supposed to live. And unknowingly, and that the military of the neighboring country, La République du Cameroon, went ahead and burned it down. Our people are not a colonial territory of La République. Our people isn't. Our people is not a conquered territory of La République. La République is a sovereign nation, just like the Southern Cameroon is a sovereign nation. They came together with equal entity. They came together as a separate sovereign nation. Let's look. So we talk about demarcations. Demarcations. This stood as a symbol. This is a symbol to indicate that the people of Southern Cameroon was never a colonial territory of La République. This is a symbol. This is a boundary pillar. This is a boundary demarcation between the people of Southern Cameroon and the neighboring country, La République du Cameroon. And you can see clearly, it said CF. CF stands Francophone Cameroon. And that is the boundary that is between the southern Cameroon and the neighboring country, La Republic. That separates the people of southern Cameroon and La Republic. The United Nations is aware of this. France, the colonial country of La Republic, is aware of this. The British government is aware of this. And that two separate nations exist. La Republic du Cameroon and the Southern Cameroon, or the Francophone Cameroon and the British Cameroon as the symbol, significant. That show a clear boundary. And that is why I have been singing about the cohabiting relationship. Even though we are cohabiting, there is a clear demarcation that shows that separate us between and La Republic. And that is why we bring in this attention to the world community to understand that our people and the continued massacre by our people, by La Republic, because they are taking advantage to exploit our will. And that is why we must stand as a one people. Let's look at some of the demarcation. When you see the another demarcation, BC, the BC stands for British Cameroon, whereas the other stands for Francophone Cameroon. And that shows clearly, that's the boundary mark of the demarcation. Before I proceed, I want to bring this attention. This is in Bamising. And it happened that this person has to be an important person. Important doesn't mean that all the people of Southern Cameroon are not important. Every Southern Cameroon is a priority. It's very important. This happened to be one of the priests in Say. I talk about a family home. A family home is an important place. It's a symbolism that a child grew up and that they have a place that they grow up. And some, even though they haven't constructed elsewhere, they still believe the symbol. And that symbol shows where they were born and where they grew up. It significantly shows to them that they stand in the midst of this, they have a place. And that who they are today is because they have a place. And this was burned down in Bamising by the military of the neighboring country, La Republic du Cameroon. Let's look at, this is the priest that was going around to see this devastation that inflicted by the terrorist government of La Republic du Cameroon. Take a listen.
We are here in Bamising at the family residence of the auxiliary bishop of Mena.
That's a bishop. That's a bishop in a Catholic diocese.
Completely breaks down.
The bishop of the diocese
Here for a short visit.
in Bamising in Say. And this is a home, a family home.
It was a very heavy damage. There were so many things inside here that were burnt down completely. You can see yourself damage that took place.
You can see the cardinal.
Documents.
The cardinal, that's their home. That's their mother home. That is where they were born. That is where they grew up. He's now a Catholic cardinal. A Catholic cardinal. And he went to see for himself a home where they grew up. And that was burned down by the military of La Republic du Cameroon in southern Cameroon.
This is the family residence of the auxiliary bishop of Mena.
I'm just showing it because the video is on my Facebook. And I want you to watch and feel the pain. And that if you are the sons and daughters and you see this that a Catholic cardinal, the home he grew up, and they believe that is where their parents were able to educate them to become what they are today, and that are serving the world community by dedicating themselves as a priest, a cardinal. But they find his home burned down by the military of La Republique du Cameroon. That is why I am asking the United States government that the weapon they provide to the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroon, that the weapons has been converted to the Southern Cameroon territory, burning home, shooting citizens. And that is why I am bringing the attention of the United States government to understand the pain and the feeling our people are going through. I'm not only informing the United States government, I'm also informing the citizens of this great nation, because that's something that the major media won't talk about it, neither to show it, or even to demonstrate about it, because it is relatively less of their concern. But however, we thank the opportunity that we are able to bring these images to the viewers of the general world to understand the pain our people are going through. I understand that the United States has a plan, but I'm bringing to the world, to people of the lower community, to understand the pain our people is going through.
We are here in Ambazonian at the family.
You know why this is important to me? I always talk about the vote in the United Nations. Our people shouldn't have come to this point. The vote at the United Nations. The vote where 64 nations voted against our people. Today, our people are living in distress. Our people are being killed. Our people are being slaughtered. But unfortunately, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, the United Nations, that's the branch of the United Nations, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, in a tweet, asked whether can the people return home. In a single tweet, asked why can the people, the refugees, return home. It seems there is something absolutely wrong with the United Nations. And I mean, there's something absolutely wrong with the United Nations. And that is why I said we are being governed by the people that are not meant to govern us, especially the world planet. You all know that why this atrocity is going in Southern Cameroon. United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in Nigeria was able to report accurately what is happening in Southern Cameroon. But unfortunately, we have a United Nations High Commissioner of Refugees in La Republique. Keep the mouth silent as nothing is happening. They never report about the case. And you guess what? The reason is clear. It's a Canadian citizen. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in La Republique is a Canadian citizen. And that is why I am bringing this for the world to understand. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in Cameroon is a Canadian citizen. And that is why one will expect that a Canadian citizen who happened to be a High Commissioner for Refugees that was paid to perform her duty. But unfortunately, she did not perform her duty. And that is why the same United Nations is asking why can the refugee return home? But one will wondering, we have the cabinet of the Southern Cameroon. Because why I am putting this? Because we were never a conquered territory. We were never a conquered territory of La Republique. We were never a colonial territory of La Republic. We simply came together, and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, who happened to be a Canadian citizen, is living on two payroll. The pay that is paid by La Republic to keep her mouth closed, and the pay that is paid by the United Nations High Commissioner, paid by the United Nations office. And that is why when Nigeria High Commissioner for Refugees report about the atrocity that is going on in Southern Cameroon, La Republic did not report about the case because they remain silent. Who should be the first to report? The Nigerian that is receiving the massive exodus, or the La Republic that have a Canadian High Commissioner for Refugees that absolutely closed our mouth and failed to report exactly what it is? And one may be wondering, why is it that the Canadian citizen in the most liberal nations that is in a third world country cannot report exactly what is happening in Southern Cameroon? Of course, the reason is that because she is living on a Jeopardy salary. The salary paid by La Republic and another salary paid by the United Nations. So, in other words, she was living a fabulous life. Why would you want to report when you are benefiting from that particular nation? And that is the corrupted world environment in which we live in. How can we move forward? So we are living in a corrupted environment that a Canadian citizen who happened to be the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, and one will expect that someone from an advanced nation, especially like Canada, and its citizens, its representatives, fail absolutely. One will expect them to be more judicious and understand the value of human dignity. But unfortunately, the Canadian citizen that is the High Commissioner for Refugees in La Republic absolutely failed to report until the Nigerian High Commissioner in Nigeria report exactly what is happening of a massive exodus of citizens traveling to Nigeria and expect assistance. But unfortunately, they did not report about it. And that is why I am here to let the world. That is why they have the audacity. The United Nations High Commissioner of Refugees have the audacity and ask whether can they not return home. Because they did not recall that our cabinet, Ayuk Seseko, and the rest of his cabinet are languishing in the neighboring country like Republic of Cameroon, and that they don't have the authority, despite the fact that they have a legal document recognize them as a refugee in a nation. And that is why a judge, a mentally deranged judge in La Republic, has the audacity to declare that in her office, a judge, a military judge that happened to be a girlfriend of a colonel, a girlfriend of a general. Because when you can date a general, you have the probability of climbing the ladder, and you can be assigned to make decisions. Whether you have mentally and capability to carry on. Just hold on. Let's go to close. Just wait. Those are lawyers of the Southern Cameroon. In the last few days ago, they walked out because first, the people of Southern Cameroon, La Republic has no authority. La Republic has no legal authority to trial the citizens of Southern Cameroon. La Republic has no legal authority because the people of, when they came together, they came as two equal partners. And if there is a problem, the people should be judged on the High Court of Southern Cameroon. The La Republic need to file a case in the High Court of Southern Cameroon. If there is ample evidence that La Republic believes that the citizens of Southern Cameroon has caused atrocity in the neighboring country, La Republic, then La Republic has the authority to file a lawsuit. And file the lawsuit in the highest court of Southern Cameroon. And then the Southern Cameroon High Court would determine on the language understood by the people of Southern Cameroon and not in La Republic. We are two separate nations and we have two judicial systems. And let's take, for example, if there is ample evidence that the citizens of La Republic trample on the Southern Cameroon, then the people of Southern Cameroon has the right to file a lawsuit in La Republic because they want them to determine on the language that the people of La Republic spoke, that the person in question should be able to understand the content of the case. And that is what it's supposed to be. Let me rephrase it again. That if we are two separate identical nations, La Republic and the Southern Cameroon, when the Southern Cameroon feel that there is ample evidence that La Republic believes that we have committed a crime and that La Republic need to file a lawsuit in the highest court of the Southern Cameroon. And that Southern court in Southern Cameroon will deliberate the case in the language understood by the Southern Cameroon and the crime in which they are being fined for. So if there is also ample evidence that La Republic has committed the same crisis, or Southern Cameroon has committed the same thing, it's supposed to be filed in Southern Cameroon, and vice versa. And this is the lawyers of the Southern Cameroon. They are an Anglo-Saxon way of law, and that the case is supposed to have been in Southern Cameroon and not in La Republic because La Republic has no jurisdiction over the people of Southern Cameroon. The fact that we choose to cohabit together doesn't give them the legal status to judge our people. And that is why the lawyer walked out, because the person presiding over the case is mentally incapacitated to carry on such a trial, to deliberate on such a case of that magnitude. And the qualification of the said individual presiding over a case, Michelle, is simply a girlfriend of one of the colonels that happened to have an opportunity to appoint her because there is no merit in La Republic. Absolutely, there is no merit on qualification whether you are capable. But so long as you have a relative or you've been dating your relative and you have the probability of my mitigating to the highest level. And that is why an unqualified individual was asked to trial the citizens of Southern Cameroon that has no legal backing because she happened to have dated a general, and that general has promoted her, and now she has the capacity to deliberate on a case that requires knowledge and skill and intelligence to understand this basic value. Let's listen to some of the lawyers' frustration in the neighboring country like public court. Just listen. But if you can't hear the sound, I am going to post it into my Facebook. Otherwise, it's already on my Facebook. You can listen. The frustration of the military tribunal. Aisha, what happened?
No, the judge just moved and at the same time refusing us our right of appeal.
So what has happened?
No, lawyers walked out of the court. Collective walkout.
As you can listen, the lawyers collectively walk out of La Republic military court, and that they have no legal backing. First, the military of La Republic is in the neighboring country, La Republic, and the Southern Cameroon should be able to determine what kind of case should be here. But unfortunately, our citizens in Southern Cameroon, as a sovereign nation, are being tried by the neighboring country, La Republic du Cameroon. Not only the worst too is that it is not on the language understood by the people whom they are contrary to the content of which that case is supposed to. La Republic is aware that the military of La Republic cannot try our citizens because we are not a conquered territory. We are not a colonial territory. We are a sovereign nation and with a defined boundary. And that is why I began by showing the boundary and demarcations. La Republic has no legal status in each and of the to carry on the trial of the citizens of Southern Cameroon, especially Ayoub Seseko and the other cabinet. And that is why I am bringing this attention to the world community to understand. I know fellow brothers and citizens of Southern Cameroon, those in ground zero, and those that the Amba Defense Force that are protecting the Southern Cameroon. You all know the Guinness Cameroon. I am particularly informed the Guinness of Cameroon. I am informing them that we have got enough on our plate. And if you are watching, relay this message to the Guinness of Cameroon and the Guinness USA and the Guinness International that they shouldn't meddle in our internal affairs. As a business, we intend to have business organizations, but La Republic is not a control of the land of Southern Cameroon. I am speaking to the Guinness Cameroon. I am speaking to Guinness International. I am speaking to the Guinness here in the United States. Our goal, our value, we believe in a business investment, but we want a business investment in an atmosphere that is tolerable. Guinness USA, Guinness Cameroon cannot meddle. Guinness La Republic cannot meddle in our internal affairs. And so we are bringing this attention that the Guinness, while we entrust investment, but we will not want Guinness to meddle in our internal issues, that our people are displaced and they want to organize a Mount Boya race and stating that all is well with our people. So I urge the Guinness International to respect their own boundaries. I urge the Guinness International to respect their boundaries and that they should call off the race they scheduled to take place in La Republic. That our people are living in the forest. Our people are in Nigeria. They basically have no food to eat. They are living in a foreign nation. And you want to organize a race in our own territory while our people are suffering. And that is why I am calling the attention of the Guinness International. I am calling the Guinness USA. If you are listening, I urge the Guinness that they should not be meddling in our internal problems. That our people cannot be living in the forest and they are coming to organize a mountain race and saying that all is well. So our people, our defense system, will take on every individual that attempt to meddle in our internal affairs. That Guinness cannot organize when our people are living in the forest. Guinness, I am particularly in this point. While we are not anti-investment, but not this moment at the time when our people are struggling for self-determination, self-freedom, and by a terrorist government of La Republic that is taking advantage over our people. So we are urging the Guinness USA, the Guinness International, to take opportunity and stay out of the area, that our people will have a moment that such an we deem necessary can take place in our land. And that if you want to see what is going to happen, then step your foot in Boya and see what is going to happen. Because I am particularly dismayed that the people of Southern Cameroon are in distress. And Guinness Cameroon shouldn't come and add their own problems on our own existing problem. So I urge them to be cautious and that race they decide, they choose to organize, that it is a moment that they take precaution and that they shouldn't organize such a meeting in the Southern Cameroon territory. Our people are in distress call, and so we will not tolerate or allow. We have been very cognizant of the Guinness staying out of the towing line. But if that is what they want to choose, then they're going to mitigate in the Southern Cameroon internal affairs. So I urge the Ambazonian defense system to be on the lookout, and that there is total no war, there is total dead city on that particular day of whatever it's called again. There's completely a dead city. And so if you want to see what's going to happen, stage your leg outside and see what is going to happen to you. So that particular day is a completely a dead city. A completely a dead city. There should be no, every home, every house, stay where you are in your home and make sure your door is shut completely. if you happen to be in Buea. See what happens to you when you step aside. I want to talk about, there's one important thing that may have rocked the Ambazonian interim government. I want to make this clear. I'm going to go into this in depth detail because I am for an, an independent branch of the government to function and for the interest of all. There are three arms of government: the executive, the judiciary branch, and the legislative branch. Why is this branch of government important? It's important because a free democratic society can only flourish when this arm of government is separate. And when this arm of government is separate, there is what they call the check and balancing. United States practices a similar form of government. The branch of government must be separate: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislative branch. I have spoken about, I did talk about an interim government. The purpose of an interim government or the virtual government. An interim government is a government that is residing somewhere. The hope is that after it's clear and that the government can take place and that the function on behalf of the people. And I like government of accountability. It's not the Southern Cameroon that is the first nation to have an interim government. In fact, the South Korea had the interim government that was in Shanghai, China. And when the Japan Empire collapsed, the Shanghai moved into South Korea to form a provisional. They have a provisional government, and that is the purpose of having an interim government. The interim government represents the will of the people, and that the people have the right. As I'm speaking about a government, and that is why the government must be accountable. And that is a vision that I see about an Ambazonian interim government. I believe that the branch of government, the judiciary, the legislative, and the provisional. I have urged that there should be the judiciary branch, the judiciary branch should have an interim Supreme Court. An interim Supreme Court. The reason is because why someone said, why can we have an interim government when we are not physically in ground zero? The reason is clear. The reason is clear because the Southern Sudan is in chaos, whereas Eritrea is moving forward. There is a contrast difference between, because Eritrea was already practicing their own government, whereas South Korea didn't, whereas South Sudan wasn't. And so when they obtained their nations, and then chaos reigned in because there was no form of structure in place, and they have never practiced such a form. And so that is why I believe that we have an interim government that we began by practicing. By practicing, we become more perfect, so that when we go into a transitional phase in ground zero, then we have the ability to adapt and moving forward. That is my reason that I propose that we have an interim government. This government should function as a voluntary, because the revenue generated should not be used for the interest of those individuals, because they are outside, they are outward. I don't expect the Ambazonian to provide me funds because I am capable to take care of myself. So because I am voluntarily fighting for the liberation, I don't want to take the revenue that is generated to pay myself, whereas I am physically out of the sight. And I believe that the people that need the most is the Ambazonian defense system that are fighting for the liberation. And if we waste the resources on myself, then I'm not doing good for the liberation. And that is why I urge that we should have a Supreme Interim Court. The Supreme Interim Court are individuals that is capable and that is smart enough, that is capable to understand the law of the Southern Cameroon, to understand the value and the law of the Southern Cameroon. And that is why I want an independent Supreme Court judge. The interim Supreme Court judge of Southern Cameroon is a voluntary position. His position is for life. Why is it for life? It's for life, just for the lifespan. If we move to Buea, then either we elect the people in Buea, then that position cease to exist. Do you get me right? So when we move to Buea, that very position ceases to exist because the people of Southern Cameroon, we elect a new form of government. The people of Southern Cameroon, we elect a new form of government. And that government becomes the final government of Southern Cameroon. So in the meantime, we have a Supreme Court judge. In my vision, I would believe that there should be 3. The Southern Cameroon should have the Supreme Court that functions independently. The Supreme Judge will be permanent. In other words, if there is a case, they will litigate the case. There should be 3. And those 3 will decide the fate of if there is a decision. And they should have a ritual where they meet to deliberate on a case that has been filed, either by citizen or by whoever to file the case. And there should be a 3-judge that is called a virtual Supreme Court judge. And that Supreme Court judge is for the length of period that we exist. But when we arrive in Buea, that position will cease to exist because we have to move to the new form of law. And that is why it is imperative that we have a Supreme Court and in a 3 Supreme Court judge in Southern Cameroon. And each of them will work voluntarily. They shall not be paid. They are simply voluntary because I myself am voluntary. I don't expect the revenue generated to be wasted on me because the people in Tanzania need that revenue to defend our land. On the legislative branch, they call a legislature. No, let's be straight. Let's put everything on the table. Let's be straight. On the legislature, I propose a Senate and a Congress. The Legislative Assembly, or the Senate and the Congress. The Senate will be made up of, we have 13 states. That is why I want vision so that the people can see exactly what it is. There is a 13 state, 13 divisions. Those 13 divisions will be upgraded to 13 states. And those 13 states, we have 26, so which means in each of the division or which become a state, they will have 2 representatives of the Senate. In other words, we will have 26 Senate officials, which means in each division of the 13, we'll have 2 Senate officials in each. So in other words, there will be 26 of the Senate officials. And those Senate officials will be voluntary. There is no salary. They are working voluntarily for the Southern Cameroon. And on the 13th state, then we have, let's say in each state, they have maximum should be 5 members of Congress. In all the 13 states, there should be maximum 5 representatives. People may ask me, how can we have them when we are not in Buea? Then obviously, we will select. We have all the 13 divisions. Those 13 divisions will be upgraded into a full state. So we have 13 states. So in each state, we will have 5 members elected from each of the states, 5 members of Congress. So you have 2 Senate officials in each state and 5 members of Congress. In other words, you multiply 5 times 13, you give you the total member of Congress in each of the states. And these individuals will meet in general session. So let's take, for example, if the acting president appoint a certain officials, that individual will have to be confirmed by the Senate. They shall have a virtual where they meet to discuss why he wants to become the minister or the federal secretary in the Southern Cameroon. Let's say the acting president. If the acting president wants to appoint some individual, he will select the potential candidate and present to the Senate. The Senate will have a deliberation whether to confirm or not to confirm that particular candidate. And that particular candidate will meet in a virtually debate. In other words, in the advent of internet, we should be capable to carry on deliberations, and they should see us as prepared. It's not a salary basis. It's voluntarily that all citizens participate in the government of Southern Cameroon. The world needs to understand and see this value that we manifest. And that is my vision that I see. Let's say the Sako decided to appoint someone as Secretary of State. The Secretary of State will appear in front of the Senate and debate why he believes he should be the Secretary. And those who have already been in that position should be reaffirmed or confirmed by an up-down vote by the Senate. There are certain key individual positions that we need to start practicing. The world needs to understand that our government is in full session. Because with the advent of technology, with the advent of internet, they can have an open debate, and that we have our scientists, they can create a network that they can meet, and that people can log in and see that debate going on, that the virtual debate about the people of Southern Cameroon. And that is what I envision. That is what I look into, that I see the people of Southern Cameroon participate in their own group, in their own government. We want the world to understand that we are mature enough, and then when they see the debate and they see the behavior and they see who we have chosen, and that person has to be confirmed. That is the vision that I see for the Southern Cameroon. I don't have this where you have individuals. For example, let's say there was some misappropriation. Then the Congress can now call that particular individual that there is this misappropriation that is going around the press. Then that person will meet in the Congress. So let's calculate the figure. As I suggest, that there should be 2 members of Senate in all the 13 states, 13 divisions to be all great into a full state. And each will have 2 members of Senate. And those are voluntarily. So when the 26, so you'll be 26 members of the Senate. And on the Congress, we have, let's multiply. You know, my breaker works. So I talk about technology, so let's use the technology. So we have 5 times 26, or 5 times 13. 5 times 13. So there will be 65 members of Congress. 65. So do you understand? So we will have 26 members of Senate and 65 members of Congress. And in each state, they will have 5 members. And we have 3 Supreme Court judges. I hope you get it right. We have 3 Supreme Court judges. So when the president, the acting president, select each of the Supreme Court judges, will nominate them and ask the Southern Cameroon Senate to confirm each of the candidates. And each of the candidates will appear in front of the Senate and debate his credentials. Citizens have the right to tune in and view the debate, why he believes he should be the Supreme Court candidate in Southern Cameroon. You know? And so once that is clear and that they agree that he can be a Supreme Court judge, then the 3 candidates that have been selected, they will be just for the period of till La République vacate our territory. So in other words, they cannot be dismissed, and their law, their ruling is effective. Their ruling is accepted. Their ruling is applied universally in all Southern Cameroon. Do you understand? And that is why when you look at the structure system, the state is absent. And that is why it is key branch of government, the state. We are called a federal government because we must indicate the structure of the federal system. When you look at the current structure of the IG, there is no federal state. There is none. And that is why I am key architect of a federal government. And that is why I lay out what form is an effective, efficient system that can work in the Southern Cameroon territory. And so let's say those 7, we have 26 members of Senate and 65 members of Congress. So the Congress is responsible to redesign the law of Southern Cameroon. The Congress, so every law that the Congress voted must be respected. So let's say in a case, let's say 2/3 of the Congress, 2/3, let's say 2/3 of 65. Let's see. So two-third of Congress can impeach the president. Two-third. A two-third of the people of the 65 member of Congress. A two-third of the 65 member of Congress of Southern Cameroon can vote the president out. And it must be confirmed by the 3 members of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court acknowledged that they have met the criteria and that president is to step down within a certain length of period, so 2 hours to tender his resignation. In other words, I am for an efficient government of Southern Cameroon. I am for an efficient government, a structurally government of Southern Cameroon. I believe that there should be no super individual that should govern the people of Southern Cameroon. So if 2/3 of the Congress voted to remove the president, then the Senate, the Congress president will ratify, and that the Supreme Court will approve with vote. Let's say in a case you have in the Supreme Court, which is made up of the 3 independent candidates, if 2 voted to remove the president, then the president has 72 hours to tender his resignation to the Senate. And the Senate must acknowledge. So when Congress is to make that we have a check and balancing. The president cannot manipulate. So when the Congress, 2/3 of Congress voted to impeach the president, then two out of the 3 members of the Supreme Court will ratify. And once ratified, then the president has 72 hours to tender his resignation to the Senate. And the Senate has nothing to debate on it. They just have to reaffirm the decision. They have nothing to debate. They have no choice to argue. They just have to reaffirm. I am a believer of a strong democratic form of government of the Southern Cameroon. And that is why I begin to lay down the philosophy of an effective democratic form of government in the Southern Cameroon territory. And I will continue to deliberate on this more. How in a well-structured democratic form of government, because what we have now need a restructuring. We don't want to have one single individual that is the mightiest in the IG that stand and dictate. Then we don't need to leave La Republic if we can have one single individual that is believe that he's so mighty. There's nobody that can be mighty in Southern Cameroon. I believe the people have an open voice to decide what they need and what form of government. And that is the government I will begin to advocate. I will begin to advocate the philosophy of a democratic government in the Ambazonian territory. And that is what I expect to see. And that is what people must have. I want to take a moment to thank all of you. It was a long time speaking to you. I am going to concentrate on the deliberation of a democratic government of Southern Cameroon under IG. I want to thank you, all of you that are watching. I wish you all a happy, wonderful day. And so Uh, what else? Now, I just want to thank you, and we will continue. We'll continue more about this debate. Stay tuned another time. God bless.